Good morning and welcome in on what is a very wet and cold and miserable looking Friday morning here in the UK. But it's dry in here, thankfully, and warm. So we're all set to do some crafting. So welcome in. My name is Helen Jennings. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK. And we're going to have a bit of a play this morning. So the faces that have popped up at the top of my screen are Beryl and Emily. So good morning, and good morning to anybody else that's popping on. Glenda, do say hello. Do come on in and join in. Shout out any suggestions or comments, questions. Glad to take them all. I know it is raining. Some places have got snow. I think Cambridgeshire, so not very far away, have got snow. I did see somebody in the Peterborough area say they got snow this morning, so I don't know whether you have, Emily, got any snow this morning. But at the moment, it's very wet and cold and yucky out there, so glad to be in here. And I'm sure possibly you won't have any snow in Australia, and you might be glad of a bit of rain. But no, that's definitely what's on the menu for us today, I think. Excuse me while I rifle around amongst my oddments of card. Got a bit of a tickly throat today as well, so apologies for that. I want some Rococo Rose and some Sahara Sand. And also, while I'm rustling and being noisy, I'm going to find some grey granite. Okay, so heat wave here. Oh dear. Yeah, you're melting. Yes, I'd heard somebody, it was Angie, I think, was saying about how hot it was the other day. No, we're not melting. We're being washed away today. Lots of rain. So we can't send you any rain. Oh, and my grey wagtail is back. He obviously likes you ladies on a Friday morning. I've not seen him all week, but he's here for you. He's enjoying the rain. He likes puddles and things. So yeah, we've got rain. So I can't send you any rain, but perhaps you'll be able to pick it up, pit-pattering on the roof. Perhaps that will give you a bit of sense of rain. Right, so in front of me today I have a stamp set that has been on my wish list for a very long time, but hasn't quite made it to my basket. And when we had the sale on last week, it finally made it from my wish list to my basket and is now here. And it's one that I've been wanting for a little while, and it's the Very Versailles stamp set, and sort of backgrounds, and you can create whole cards from it, but it's also going to be very useful to dig into for providing backgrounds for all sorts of things. So let's just pop these stamps. It's a red rubber stamp, as you can see. That's always exciting because that means we can do fun things with it that involve heat. I should try not to get too distracted by my pied wagtail, but they are very cute little things. I think it is the way that their little bottoms waggle as they walk. Right, so let's put that leafy one onto its sticky background. We'll do the same with this big wordy one. So a nice sort of scripty background. I don't know that there's really any way that you could tell what the words are, but actually in some ways that would distract from it. You don't need to know what the words are. They're just there as a background, we've got this really nice little border. It's really pretty. And have a beautiful day. Well, let's hope that despite the weather, we can all have a beautiful day. And for those of you towards the end of your day, I hope you've had a beautiful day. And we've got this sort of frame here, which almost looks like our frame here has got the little bit that pops out of the middle. It almost looks like a brooch. Beautiful. Very ornate. This is a thank you, and a very nice little curly thank you it is too. And then, last but not least, we have an always thinking of you. So some really nice sentiments in here. Let's get that the right way up. Like that. So there we go. I'm just going to pop that little centerpiece in there because sometimes those little bits do come in useful. Let's just get rid of some of these bits off the back so that we're not falling over those. So there we have our stamps. So we've got our words, our leaves, our greetings, and this little border piece just there. And I've picked out, as I said, I've got some Rococo rose and some Sahara sand there. And somewhere I've gone on and I've got the ink pads for those as well, and I've also got some grey granite. Right, so I'm going to take a piece of Sahara sand. Cardstock actually in there. I have already got a Sahara sand card base, so we'll make use of that. And we'll find ourselves a bit of a Rococo rose mat and a Sahara sand mat. The Sahara sand is a nice neutral colour. Now let's just pop our stamps back in here for a moment so that we don't pick them up on the bottom of the trimmer and then lose them. Oh, that card base has a hole in the back, so we won't use that card base. It's had a bit cut out of it. And I will create us another card base in a moment. We'll just make our mats for now. So let's cut that. That is 10 centimetres by 14.4 already. Let's make this 9.5. By 13. 13.9. I'm going to take this Rococo rose and the words make sure they look like they're running the right way. A quick slurp of tea. And let's ink this up. I'm going to take those words and I'm going to stamp it once this side. Actually, I'm going to, because we can, I'm going to swing that card around, because I'm going to stamp that off and then stamp that again, because I want that to be a little bit paler. So we'll stamp that. That's better. Once that side, and then we'll bring it in again on that side. So there we have our words coming down the back there. Oh, I put my stamping, my Simply Chamois to soak, and I've left it by the sink. I'll go and grab that in a second. But now I'm going to ink up these leaves, and we will do these in a solid colour. Have that coming up there. And have this coming down there. Bring in this little border piece just here. We'll add in a couple of those. This beautiful frame just here that we will use in a second. I'm just going to grab my Simply Chamois. Give that a good squeeze out so it's not too wet. Okay, a little bit of that circle will be fine because I'm going to cut it out anyway. That will just about squeeze on there. Let's take some snips and we will just come around the edge here. So obviously very Parisian feel. Versailles is obviously the big palace. Just on the outskirts of Paris. So I'm then going to take one of these little greetings. Ooh. Just need to cut rustle, rustle, rustle. Just going to cut a little circle from some Sahara sand card. And then I'm going to go with a little thank you. And have that stamped to go in the middle of there. Getting my sponges and things ready. Because having done all of that, good morning. Oh, you've got snow, how fantastic, how exciting. Well, I'm sure Thea was very excited, even if you weren't very excited having to go out in it to do the school run. Morning, Jackie. Having stamped all of that, I'm now going to tear it just because I can. I'm going to tear that all the way round. And then we will bring in our, let's go with the right colour, the right box, and I'll grab the Rococo Rose sponge. And I'm going to sponge around the edge of this. Also going to sponge around the edge of this where we've cut that border around the edge. And I'm going to sponge around the edge of our greeting as well. I'm just going to grab, so this is the Textured Essentials. So like the elements in this, really good for just adding little bits in. So what I want to do, I'm going to take my Take my leafy image off of there and bring in some Sahara sand ink. Ink that up, and I'm going to just stamp that off and just add in, oh, wrong colour, just add in a little touch in the background. Can you just see that little touch of sort of texture in the background just there? Would be quite nice with that. Oh, dropped it on the floor. So let's just snip the end of that ribbon off for now, and let's create ourselves another Sahara sand base that doesn't have a hole in the back, doesn't have a bird cut out of it or whatever it was. Trim that at 14.9, score at 10.5, or whatever your standard card base is. I'm wondering if I want a bow of any sort on there. Don't think I do. The other thing I was wondering about was whether to add in a little bit of lace, which might be a nice idea, but we don't want it to be white. Let's pick up Rococo Rose. And let's sponge this. This is one of the square vellum doilies. Going to cut it in half on the diagonal. And then have a bit of lace coming in top and bottom, and that's sort of coming in the opposite corners from the stamping. Oh dear. We'll catch up with you later, Div. Okay, and I think the other thing we might like on there is possibly some pearls of some sort. But we might also like those to be Rococo Rose. So I'm just going to lean across and get my Rococo Rose blender pen. And let's just colour a few of those. Right, so let's stick this together. So we'll start with our ribbon across the front here. So let's put down a little run of tape each inch. That can come across here. So this is the Petal Pink and Rococo Rose ruched tape. And we will stick that down directly onto our card base. And we've got our vellum. Oh, that blobbed. Just putting a couple of blobs of glue on there. It won't matter because it will be behind. Let's tuck that behind that ribbon. It will be behind our card front anyway. Just pop out these little bits of the doily that are still landlocked. Don't worry too much about that one. That one's not going to be seen anyway. And sit that in that corner. I think I'm going to sit this one flat. Do I want it straight or on a little bit of an angle? I think I'm going to go a little bit of an angle. And to stick this thank you directly onto our frame, but then we will use some dimensionals to rise, to give that a lift, to raise it up. And we've got these little pearls now. I just wonder if those are going to be, oh no, they're not bad when they're sitting on there. Let's have actually put a couple of little white pearls on there as well. So just the tiny ones. And where did you go? There, I can see you. Use the tools you have in your arsenal, Helen. Stop trying to fiddle. So that one is a sort of quite vintagey look one, torn edges, sponging, and in that sort of soft Rococo rose and Sahara sand palette. Let's stick that to one side. Pop some of these things away. Yeah, I love a bit of vintage, Jackie. Thank you, Glenda. I like a bit of torn edges, and I know not everybody does. I have some amongst my lovely ladies who will wince at me tearing the edges, but I'm sure she'll forgive me. Right, so having gone from sort of those subtle... There you are, Vonnie, yes! It's funny how I do things and I think of people. Every time I tear an edge, I think of Vonnie. I know that she'll be wincing at me tearing paper. Right, so this one I've got a piece of Whisper White here. Yeah, I might have to do. I think that sort of stamp set is the sort that does shout out to, you know, have edges torn, or we have now got things like the old world paper that, so if people are a bit conscious about scrunching a piece of card up and sort of flattening it out again, you have now got the old world paper embossing folder that will do those sorts of things for you. I love that embossing folder. That would work really well with this style of stamp set as well. That sort of oldie worldy. Right, okay. So for this one, we're thinking about some of the same ideas, but we're going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to take our wordy stamp again. And I'm going to ink it up this time with grey granite. And I'm going to stamp that grey granite off and again put some words in that top corner. Just going to have the one lot of words this time, I think. Let's give that a bit of a clean. And I'm going to grab the leafy section. And I have one set of leaves coming across here and some more coming down there. Clean that up. And I'm going to dig about and find some Versamark. Ink this up with Versamark and sort of take it in fairly much the same direction, but just wiggle it round a little bit. Now what I should have done is put a bit of bit bob down there. Let's see how lucky we've been, how dry that first lot of ink was. And again, just similar sort of direction, just spin it round slightly. And then there I've got ready some silver embossing powder. I think we might have been incredibly lucky there. Let's just take some of these bits off. And let's heat that up. Warm my heat tool up a minute. So I've seen this sort of idea done on a darker card with using white embossing powder. So the reason why you couldn't use your gold as well. You've got that sort of silver bit in the background there. Beautiful. Now, I'm thinking, because we do have red rubber, I'm going to take a little bit of Whisper White card, and I'm going to ink it up with Versamark. Dibble that into my embossing powder. Not particularly worried about the fact that I've got some missing bits around the edges. Let's heat that up. Okay, I'm going to ink it up again, put it back in the powder. Let's heat that up again. I'm going to go one more, I think, and you can see the molten embossing powder almost running. So I'm going to have my stamp on standby. Ooh, come back. You come here and stand still just a moment. I want to heat that all up so it's nice and hot, and then I'm going to push that into there. Now this is one of those techniques you can only do with your red rubber stamps. Do not attempt this with a photopolymer stamp because you will get a melted photopolymer stamp. Right, let's see. Oh, it only half went. But do you know what? That. I'm actually going to give it another layer. Where that little dib is just there, and hold it down this time. It still only went half. Well, you little pickle. How bizarre. Why are you only going half? I wonder if it isn't quite thick enough. It's quite a fine stamp. You know when you're determined to do something, do you get like that? We are going to do this. We may have to give up on it if it doesn't work this time. We may have to give it up as a lost cause. Grim determination there. Triple heat embossing. And as you can see, your stamp comes out perfectly clean. I'm going to leave that just to cool off a little bit for a minute. Take a piece of Whisper White and the greeting, always thinking of you. I might lose the always, not that I'm not always thinking of you. We'll see. Let's put some silver embossing powder on there. Let's woof some silver embossing powder about the place. Let's put the lid on there so we don't knock it over. Take that little paintbrush and just get rid of any excess. It's nice and hot now. Right, I'm going to come back to my in frame. And cut round that. A little bit around the edge. You might be able to punch or die cut some little things from, little hearts or something. Die cut some little stars. And that's known as triple heat embossing. We actually had 4 lots of embossing going on there in the end. Right, let's trim this down. Now I am thinking I can take that across there, which I think I've got away with. Thinking with those sort of soft palette of colours, have you not done triple heat embossing before? You do need things like sort of almost like a coin or a seal, something like the compass from the Beautiful World would work really well with triple heat embossing. Yeah, anything like that that you can almost want to make a metallic looking embellishment out of. So I'm going to bring in, somewhere I've got some grey granite. actually I'm going to trim this down so it's 13.9 by 9.5. Take our grey granite and trim that to I'll take a bit of that end. It's got a bit knocked about as it's been in that bag. Now take that end off and trim that down to 14.4. I'm glad I got it to work for you in the end, Glenda, then. I think I just wasn't actually pressing down hard enough. I think you need to be a bit more. I think I'm going to put a little bit of grey granite behind that sentiment and have that separately. Just need something for the centre of that frame. Oh, just crashed something off the back of the let's put some glue on the back of it. So I'm going to stick it down flat just because that will help it to stop curling. Yeah. Pop this here. Let's get a bit of thick Whisper White and do a thick Whisper White card base. All the time thinking about what we can put in the centre of that frame, if anything. Or do we just leave it as a shiny frame? just experimenting now. I'm going to cut that onto a piece of grey granite card, and then just cut round the edge. It is a beautiful stamp set, Bonnie. I don't know why it's taken me so long to get it into my basket, really. The sale was the perfect excuse to go, you know what? It's 10% off. I'm putting in an order anyway. Let's go for it. Just putting some words on the bottom of that. Just need something almost, I don't know, just quite sort of delicate, doesn't it, to go on there. Decisions, ladies and gents. Oh, crash. Just running my eye along my stamp sets, trying to see what I'm looking for. This one, the basket of blooms. Now let's have a little bit of white cardstock. Let's come back to our Versamark. I know. Yes, and then you see something and think, oh, I didn't think I wanted that, but I do now. This is one of those things that, yeah, I really love sort of vintagey style things. So absolutely, it's right up my street. I love doing a bit of playing with techniques. I'm not very good at simple stamping. Right, so we've done a couple of those little flowers on some white cardstock with some silver embossing. Let's heat those up. Let's punch those out. Let's shape them a little bit. Ooh, I think they're going to be too big, aren't they? Nice idea. Don't think that's going to work. What might work, I'll pop a little dimensional in there. So that little punched one isn't going to work, but we'll find another use for it somewhere. It won't be in vain. There is a little tiny flower in here that we will have to fussy cut, but that's okay. Let's try that one. It's lovely when you get to play with things, isn't it? Let's ink that up with some Versamark. Pop some embossing powder on it. Keep that. Tiny bird. Oh, a tiny bird. A curvy bird. That is not a bad shout. That is inspirational, Ronnie. A quite curvy bird. We want one that's coming. Nope. Yes. Oh, knew I loved you for a reason. He has got some powder around him, but we're going to cut him out anyway. Excellent suggestion from the floor. That's what it's all about. We've got a little die that will cut him out as well. A little nursery that runs not far behind us in the next street, and they must be out playing in the rain because I can just hear them singing. Perfect. Okay, let's give him a tiny dimensional. Beautiful. Right. So we've had great fun with various techniques and things to doing two very different cards. So one in Sahara Sand and Rococo Rose, a little thank you card, and a thinking of you card with some grey granite and some silver embossing and some triple embossing, but would work really quite well for a sympathy card. The ones we don't want to send, but we do have to. So I hope you've enjoyed those. I hope you've enjoyed playing along with me with my new stamp set. I'll think of a reason to use those little flowers. And we'll be back. Hopefully, a little less rain here and perhaps a little more rain for those of you that are in Australia, or at least a little bit cooler. So enjoy your weekend. Have a good one, and I will see you all on Monday.